Okay, hello and welcome to the first part of programming with Matt. Basically the idea of these videos is just to take you through as I program an entire game. The main thing you'll see in this video is just me setting up the main engine for the game. Normally I don't have to do this, I can use a file that I have preset. However, didn't want to do that in this one, as I thought it'd be better to show you programming a game from scratch. What you see on the screen at the moment is just me setting the basic dimensions for the window that will pop up with the game in it, and obviously a scale coordinate so that I can make less pixel intent and therefore make it run a little faster. The reason we use it is to extend canvas and implement runnable is because this is the engine class. We're going to put the main function in here, and this is going to be where the main loop exists. Now a JFrame is the name of the window that we're using. That will be what holds the actual game. And what you see there messing around with the settings is that's just that every time I save it, it includes the new classes that I want to include. Don't have to do that, however I find that very easy and it saves time. The reason I make a new dimension there, as you see, is that allows me to set how big I want the screen to be very simply, as I can just change the variables at the top and that will adjust the total size of the screen. Everything else you can see, all the frame settings here are just all basic stuff. Adding the engine to it, making it so it's not resizable, centering it, making it close, exit every time you close it, and setting it as visible. And then I forgot to set the actual size, which you see me do there. This part here that you see is just me setting up so that when you call the start function, it actually tells it to start and tells the engine that it's running. And obviously I put in a stop class as well, function as well. That just helps me so that if I want to stop it within the program, I can actually do that. Next thing, I set up a while loop, as this means that it will run whenever I want, and then when I want it to stop running, I call the stop function. As you can see, that tells running the now equals false. Setting up the image, that will be the main image of the screen, and everything that we want to appear on the screen I'll just change in that image. However, I set up an array of integers here called pixels that I basically link to the image so that I can change the integer array, and that will directly influence the pixels and the image themselves. Here what you see me doing is just setting up the render function, just so every time the program calls render by itself, it actually renders the image to the screen. Otherwise it would just be blank. I'll be putting things on the image and they wouldn't be appearing on the screen. Yeah, so that makes it just a lot easier for me, and obviously it has to be done. What I do is I use a longer version of the draw image function here, as this allows me to scale the image up to fit the screen, and therefore the scale function I implemented earlier will actually work. So yeah, basically I have a little bit of design for this at the moment. I have a shot that you should hopefully be seeing on your screen now, and this was something that I just designed quickly, so I had an idea in my head of what the screen will look like once it's finished. I also have a pad that I have written basic designs in for, and yeah, so what you see me doing on the screen now is, for some reason I couldn't figure out why it weren't rendering. I'm just using printing functions just to tell me where the program is getting up to, where it's not. I didn't realise I didn't start the engine. This is something you have to do, obviously, as I said earlier, to tell the program that it's got to run. And as far as design goes, the design ain't too bad. I have an idea of what sort of game I want to make, but that's normally something that changes as I get into it. Shouldn't probably really happen, but it does. And obviously I have a lot of the rules written down of stuff that I want to happen in the game. When you implement them, sometimes they don't work and you have to take them out and change them again. And that's just something that I mess around with as I'm programming. Okay, what you see me doing here is just setting up a tick counter so that I can monitor how many ticks it's doing per second and how many frames it's rendering per second. So the now variable there just gets the time, which tells you the time in milliards. 1 second will equal a milliard, and divide that by 60 tells you how many of them there are per tick, as it's 60 ticks per second. The reason I do a timer is this way, as I can set it at every second as opposed to every 60 frames, as sometimes 60 frames might be a second if it's running really slowly. I then increase the frames every time and set it just so it prints in the console how many ticks and frames it's actually doing. I then can't figure out why it's not working, so I again use my printing function to try and figure out where the function's getting to. I then decide that I don't like the way I have it set out and change it around a bit, and then I don't believe what it's telling me, so I try changing it a little bit more, and as you see the ticks go down, which shouldn't actually happen, and therefore I actually changed the way it's set out to the way I normally use. That was a bit different. That one I done a bit on the quick side, so I set up the way it should be set up, and it comes out wrong there, but that's my fault. It's because of the way I've got it ordered, and therefore I just change the ordering a little bit, and it gives me a reasonable one. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but I'll figure that out later. Okay, yeah, that's the first episode. Please check back more where I'll be finishing it off. Okay, thank you.